Good morning, War Gamers. This is Wednesday morning, and I'm going to jump right into it. We're not going to have very much things. Depending on what the title to this video says, you might understand something about this. But this game right here, this little game, little card game, has caused me more problems. More problems? It's made more people mad at me than any other game I've ever had, I've ever played, or I've ever had around me, right? And it's called Snowflake Rebellion. Snowflakes versus Patriots. That is what it's called. So, maybe now you can understand why it would upset a few people. Right? First of all, disclaimers. I am a political person. I have political ideas. Politics affect everybody. But I do not have, I'm technically a Democrat, I guess. I'm still registered as a Democrat. I don't care about either of the parties. As a matter of fact, I want the duopoly to go away. I think we should be able to, have at least as many parties as we have cereals to choose from, right? So, the two-party system, down with it. I've lived in my life in a lot of other countries that I do think that have multiple parties, and I do think that works out better. Now, you can disagree with that. I'm fine with the disagreement. I'm fine with everybody disagreeing with me, because guess what? Most of y'all are going to disagree with me. I've got very unconventional politics. I don't consider myself left or right, although I have some opinions that lean left, that are leftist opinions. And I have some political opinions that are more traditional. Let's call it, I wouldn't call it right, but whatever. That's just probably semantics. I've also lived my life wide open to where, as long as I can remember, I've said what's on my mind and said what I believe. I know who I am, and more importantly, I know what I am. And I've got very strong opinions, and a lot of times I let those out, and sometimes people don't like it, but I do live my life in that fashion. Always did. Until this little game had me second. That's all a mess right there. Giving me second thoughts on whether I should engage with people. I believe in free speech. If you do not, that's fine. But let me tell you, free speech is freedom, right? I don't believe in all this nonsense about having to shut people up about stuff and how dangerous speech. I'm just about as much as a free speech absolutist as there is, right? The harm principle, I would say, is where my speech ends. The John Stuart Mill, the harm principle, right? That's where I think that speech can go too far. But other than that, I'm about a free speech absolutist. And this is why I got this game in 2017. I remember very well. And I'm a solitary person, and I don't mean that, but I have a family, I have a wife, I've raised my kids, but yet I'm a very solitary person. I live a solitary lifestyle as much as you can and still be around people. Just always been that kind of a person to keep my feelings and stuff close to the vest. But I don't. The person I most trust is my wife, but I don't even let her know everything, right? So there's that. And as a solitary person, I have gotten most of my interactions, with the exception of my wife and kids. Most of my interactions has came from the internet. And back in these days, to 2017 and before, I was in a Facebook group that, I would show off games, what I was playing, and it kind of gave me the satisfaction to talk to other people about what I'm playing and what they were playing and so on. And I had bought this game. This game came from War Coach Games, Steve Pearson. He made it. I became familiar with War Coach Games through Bible Wars, the board game, which I still think is a decent board game, as it tries to simulate the different factions in the Near East in the Bronze Age. Israelites, Philistines, Babylonians, Assyrians. And so I thought it was a decent game. Not a great game, not a terrible game, a decent game. And so I seen this, and I had to get it. It's Snowflake Rebellion, and it's it's street warfare between, we'll get into it, but street warfare between Trump supporters, as it were, and between his detractors, people that did not want him in office. That's what the game comes down to. And I thought it was funny. It's highly satirical. It probably is coming from not a Trump supporter perspective, but probably from a more right-wing perspective, right? But that shouldn't disqualify any game, because if you remember the Price of Freedom, the hybrid RPG war game that Greg Costikyan designed. He designed that as a right-wing game. He says he did as much. And there's nothing right-wing about Greg Costikyan if you know anything about his politics and things later. He's just not. But he did design it that way. So we can play roles. We can get into something in one end. And, I've played communists and Nazis and everything else in games, right? So I didn't think nothing of it. And I got the game, and I showed it off on that Facebook group, and suddenly people didn't like it. This is when I said, yeah, Trump, whether you believe in it or not, people really do have Trump derangement syndrome. They really do. That guy, I'll never forgive him for breaking a lot of people. Never forgive. Just it broke their. I don't know what do you want to say, but it upset him to no end. I mean, it broke him so bad that Bush became a good guy, and that guy started 2 wars and lied us into 2 wars and everything else, and he became a good guy and a hero to some of these people. So don't ask. I have no idea what causes that. I have no idea why some people were so emotional about it. Man, if you would have lived in Peru during the reign of Alberto Fujimori, who my wife loves, I do not, you would have really seen what right-wing authoritarianism is. People use that word and they don't know what that is. They don't know what that means. But you would have seen it there. And although he did bring safety and security to the masses of people, he also rolled out death squads to take care of anybody of the shining path and anybody that looked like him, So there you go. That's real right-wing extremism, right? So, but I digress. And it's one particular guy really was mad. And again, the idea of a snowflake, right? If you're getting that mad over a game, then maybe people are snowflakes. I don't really use that kind of terminology and nomenclature. Although I do think on both sides are snowflakes, right? We've seen that with, people like the Daily Wire. They've been very snowflakish lately from the conservative perspective, right? So, yeah, I think there can be these snowflakish type people on both sides of the political aisle and everywhere in betwixt. But, and I started receiving some, I don't know, I guess hate, right? Online hate. Until the moderator kind of chided me about putting this game on the Facebook page. And I said, how strange. How strange is that? I didn't mean anything by it. if you've or watched this channel any kind of time, you'll know that I love strange games. The stranger the war game, the better. And I love street games, warfare in the streets. L.A. Lawless, Up Against the Wall, Motherfucker. That is the name of the game. I'm not just gratuitously cussing. By Jim Dunnigan. Another one from Dunnigan. Chicago, Chicago. These type of games I've always loved. I've loved this watch street warfare or riots, whatever you want to call it, from a war game perspective. I think it's neat. So, of course, I'm going to get this game. And I was stunned because I wasn't engaging in political speech outside of the game, wasn't trying to. And I was accused even by moderators of trying to stir up problems, and I was not. I was just being who I am, and admittedly, I can stir up problems just who I am. And I wasn't kicked out of the group or nothing. That's not what I'm saying. The moderator even called me, and we even talked about it, and I was just thoroughly upset about it, that I was being accused of something I did not do. You know, I wasn't trying to stir up problems. But I was done with that Facebook group, pretty much. I just not going to be somewhere where that kind of things, you know, no one's going to back me when I'm not breaking a rule out of the group or anything, right? Yeah, I just felt bad about it. And that's really why I started this channel. So I'm not just talking to myself like a crazy person. I'm actually talking to people. And that's why I do this channel, because it's fun for me. I do what's fun for me, right? And so, with all that being said, this is the game, Snowflake Rebellion. And on the side, it's going to say conservatives versus liberals to control the nation, right? You're going to play well, let's look at it. Let's take it out. Let's read the blurb. There's the MAGA deck. You're going to be playing a MAGA supporter. So if you can't handle, I don't know why people couldn't handle that. Gosh, it's once we get into it, you'll see. I mean, it's a neat way to look at things. As far as I'm concerned, it's an interesting take on it from Steve Pearson. This game is no longer in production. So, although after all the kerfuffle I had with it, I know they sold a lot, because that end of that same week, Steve, who was I was or am friends with Facebook on, he posted, "Hey, this is the best selling game of the week. Thanks." And I thought, not to me personally, just to everybody, but I thought, yeah, that's me, because of all the hubbub that surrounded it. It had the Streisand effect, right? But here we go. It's Peggy. That's mi Pegote. She's here's something she don't like. Birds, probably. Snowflake Rebellion Rulebook. You've won the election, but your opponents are trying to revolt against the will of the nation. Can you save the country and make America great again? Okay, right there. You've won the election. So you're really put in Trump's place, right? And you're directing these guys. And so for that, you understand that's satirical. So everything else is going to be satirical, but that's a pretty good satire. What if Trump really is directing everybody? You know, I think it's a good satirical look on it and a good take on it, and a take I think many people, anti-Trumpers, would agree with, right? In this satire, people. In this satire, you have to use all of your political actions and support elements to stop the shadow government and its snowflake supporters from destroying the country and what is that word? Plunging America into a full-fledged civil war. Okay, that's what we're doing here, and it's War Coach games for guys. It's unapologetically satirical and unapologetically. So what we're dealing with is, we're going to deal with 3 decks. The MAGA deck. This is your deck for all intents and purposes. This is who you play as. And the snowflake deck, for all intents and purposes, those are your enemies. And you've got the contested cities. You're going to go through this. You're going to try to win 10. If you can win 10 liberal cities, then you're going to win the game, right? And so you're going to turn over. No. I'm sorry. You're going to deal yourself. Your first turn, you're going to deal yourself 6 cards. Because you get 6 cards, right? Wait a minute. There's political cards. We're not going to get into that. There's political cards. You can play 1 per round until they're all played. They're kind of interesting. You play those at the beginning of the turn. I think that's just going to confuse anybody to see the basic mechanics of the game, right? So, do yourself 6 cards to start with. And the next round, each round after that, you can deal 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You get 3 more cards every time. All right? So that's your deck. Let's put this stuff where everybody can see it. Your deck, your hand. It's my hand right now. And then the contested cities. The city we're fighting over, Memphis region. It's Memphis, okay? No, that's no National Guard. You can play no National Guard cards here. Now, the National Guard card, probably one of the strongest ones, but you can't play it here, all right? And there's some other things, but this is how many cards, snowflake cards, that Memphis gets. And gets 3. So now, I got them upside down. Sorry, y'all. So here's the 3 cards, and it is the 3 people that are playing. There's other effects. We're not going to go into it. I'd be here all day if I was explaining the other effects and explaining everything that you're going to do with these cards. But there's effects that, like if you look at the iconography, there is one here. This would actually count as, what's it say here? Counts an additional PowerPoint, right? It's the only additional PowerPoint I see that available right away. But that would be 3 points instead of 2. So it'd be 3, 6, 10. 10 points is what and it's the Rainbow Battalion is one of them. Antifa Rioters is another one. And La Mesilla Mafia, which is kind of a gang. And so, Homeland Security, all right, so I can play 3 cards, right? And I got a Homeland Security card, Sheriff's Department card, Local Police, Sons of Liberty, Wolverines from the Wolverines, Red Dawn, right? And the Undercover Informant, which gives you no points, but he do some other things. So if I'm going to try to win this city, which is, you need 10, 3, 6, I need 8 points. So I would play Homeland Security. And I would only play 2 cards because that would be enough to win that city if everything turned out right, and we would go on. We would shuffle these. I'd deal myself 3 more cards, shuffle these back in the deck, shuffle these back in the deck, and we would go on with that. You have all kinds of different cities. Yeah, some cities. Memphis is an easy one, right? St. Louis is kind of an easy one. Miami's an easy one. 2 Memphis cards. San Francisco. That's a tougher one. See all these? You can't use any. That ain't Memphis. I was doing Honolulu there. Sorry. San Francisco region, no national, and you have a lot of these PowerPoint cards. No National Guard and no something else. What's that icon for? Can't remember. Right. Austin, easier. Baltimore, harder. But that is the game. and you go through, and if you can win 10 of these liberal cities, again, it's not my nomenclature, it's the nomenclature of the game, you will, you can, you will win the game. The funny thing about it, I think, are the history behind the different groups, right? Local police, Sons of Liberty, Wolverines, we already looked at that. Frederick Douglass, Anti-Riot Command, Keepers of the Oath Keepers, right? Asian Merchant Association, that does really good if you're in a California city. State Police, Jewish Defense League, like Rule Revolt, right? National Guard. Okay, so and the same way with the Snowflake Guards. I think they're kind of interested too. Federal judge. That's funny. Federal judge working against the Trumpers, right? Political power play, okay. Inner city uprising, okay. Class warfare, that's a good card. Nation of Islam, fake news story, which is just funny. Political cultist, ACLU, useful idiots. But it's those two factions that are fighting each other, and you try to win, to make America great again. Now, again, in something highly satirical as this is, it should be something you can laugh at no matter what it is, no matter if it's you like it or you don't. It's something to laugh at. But people just got so upset. But guess what? I'm just not that dude. I'm not the dude who, to say, you can't do this. You tell me I can't do something, it makes me want to do it more. Simply because it's fun to me, right? They're just fun to me. They're just games to me. People sometimes ask, is there a game that you wouldn't play? Probably not. There's probably not a theme I wouldn't play. Now, there's plenty of themes I wouldn't design. I do have a limit on what I would design. I do. I don't even think I would do a game like this. I think a game of, the protests and riots of 2020, you could see a good game out of that if you took it. This isn't taken seriously. If you took it seriously and looked at it from every lens, right? Looked at it from bad actors' lenses, people just wanted to start riots. Look at it through people who just really were trying to shed light upon police brutality. You could do that. And I think you can make a pretty good game out of it. Now, I'm not the person to do that because I couldn't make a good game out of it, I just couldn't. But I think someone could and probably should. There might be one. If there is one, let me know. I would much like to see it. And again, this is not meant to upset anybody politically. I don't care about your politics. If we, man, we've had communists within the wargaming space forever, and I think that, like Jack Rady, I think some of his games are really good. I'm not really I don't care about your politics. Your politics, you can have them. They're up to you. As long as they're not, super pernicious, and as long as they're not, discriminatory per se. And that's something else. People said because I was playing this game, I was some kind of a racist. That doesn't work on me. Listen, I grew up in a black neighborhood. I went to a predominantly black high school. I moved to South America. My family, for all intents and purposes, every one of them's Latino besides me. And culturally speaking, I'm kind of Latino at this point in my life. We eat Latino food. I speak Spanish in the house. My dog, she's named Pegote. It means a sticky thing, right? Because she's always sticking to you when she was a pup. So Yeah, that kind of stuff doesn't work on me. Um, so I don't know. But let's stop calling each other names. And that doesn't mean just war gamers. War gamers have usually been, I thought, some of the most open minded people. Well, no matter what their politics was, until this game. Until this game. Give people the benefit of the doubt, people. And, what's the warning here? This game is highly addictive and known to cause hours of. It is an addictive game. What would I rate this as a game, as a war game? It would get like a 3 or a 4, right? But as a solitaire war game, one-handed card game, I would give it like a 6.5 or a 7. It's kind of a fun. It's kind of satirical, and because it's kind of naughty, I also do that. All right, folks. Hope I didn't offend anybody. If I did, you'll get over it, and I didn't mean to. Know that I didn't mean to, honestly. So there's other games that's got me in trouble, a little bit of trouble. Nothing like this though. This one, man, this one was off the charts. How many people got upset at me? Even later, a friend of mine seen this game and said, "What are you doing with this game?" And got really upset with me, and so that's it. If you want to see more games, it's got me in some kind of trouble. Some of them are war games. Some of them are not. A couple of them are not war games that people hated me for. And just let me know. I'll talk to you soon. Y'all have a great week and stay safe. And give people the benefit of the doubt. They're just games, people. They are just games. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.